Hey, I'm Chase, and this is All Things Random. The Rolex Explorer 1, I would say, is the ultimate luxury sleeper watch. But if you can't get your hands on a $6, $7, or even $8,000 Rolex, well, you could always go with the Tisell Explorer. Now, I first came across the Tisell 9015EX or the Explorer about 7 months ago when I was really diving in deep to the Rolex Explorer 1, but I realized that I just could not afford to spend that type of cash. In fact, that would be something I would need to save up for quite a long time. Maybe if my YouTube channel starts doing better, I would have more to buy a Rolex Explorer. But that being said, today we're looking at the Tisell because I think this is probably a very good option to scratch that itch that you have if you don't feel like spending that type of money. Now, I picked up this watch on eBay for $220. I know that if you get them straight from Korea, where Tisell is at, then they're about $200. I know if you get them in the EU or in Europe through their websites, they're like $300. So really do some research. You could find a pretty good price. Now, honestly, I think this watch is worth every penny of that $220. So let's just flip the camera around and dive right into the review. Okay, and this is what we're looking at today. This is the outer box of the Tisell. It's actually pretty well made. It's sort of this leather stitched case. Open it up for the watch inside because that is the most important thing. Now, this is the Tisell 9015EX or the Explorer Edition 39mm. This makes no bones about it. This is a direct one-on-one copy of the Rolex Explorer, but it's by Tisell. There's a few things that are slightly different, but this is basically a newer edition homage of the new 39mm Explorer. Let's first get into the dimensions. 39mm diameter, case thickness of 12.5 millimeters, a lug to lug of 47 millimeters. However, that's a little deceptive because if you look at the end links right here, these protrude further than the lug to lug. So you're looking at a few more millimeters than that. It does have a lug width of 20 millimeters with this band size. The band size does start at 20 millimeters, tapers down to 15, and then back up to 16 on this glide lock style clasp. We'll just go over that real fast. Now, the one thing the Rolex Explorer does not have is a glide lock clasp. This is more of a Submariner style that allows you to micro adjust on the fly. Of course, this is not the greatest glide lock clasp in the world, but this watch normally just retails between $200 and $300 depending on where you get it from. Tisell is a Korean brand. However, they do have a European website, which just seems to be slightly more expensive. Now, inside is the Miyota 90S5, which is actually pretty nice because a lot of watches just like this use a Miyota or use some sort of movement that has the ghost date. This is a no date version, and the one thing that I like the most about this is the Miyota 90S5 is just a single pull, and there you go. Hacks and hand winds. You can set the time. There is no ghost function, so this movement is designed for no date, which is nice to see. It does have a power reserve of 42 hours, accuracy of plus 30 seconds to minus 10 seconds a day, 28,800 vibrations per hour, and 24 joules. So it does have a nice sweeping second hand. This is a full stainless steel case with high polish along the sides, brushed along the top, high polish around that bezel. The bracelet matches the brushing on the top part of the case. And again, it does have this protruding end link. This is going to be one of the cons. However, we're going to try to fix that in this video. It is a solid bracelet, solid end links, sterile case back, and it does have screw down links, so that's nice to see. Now that black enamel dial to me looks very good. It's not overly powered with any type of print. It does have the Tisell, the water resistance rating at 100 meters, which makes this a very good everyday watch, just like the original Rolex Explorer. It does have applied indices, and it does use BGW9 Loom in all the applied indices to include the 3, the 6, and the 9, so it does directly mimic the newer Explorers. It does have a sapphire crystal, which you'd expect on a watch like this. Again, the price point is between $200 and $300. Even on the macro lens, I'm extremely surprised just how well everything is finished on those hour markers, to include the 9 that I have zoomed up here. Everything just looks nearly perfect, which is really nice to see. Continuing on with the dial, it does have those classic Mercedes hands along with the second hand lollipop that extends all the way out to that minute ring that goes around the dial. All in all, I think this is a very good looking watch, and of course it would be because this is basically a Rolex Explorer. However, it says Tisell on it. Now, a few of the differences on the Tisell as opposed to the Rolex Explorer is going to be something like the crown. The crown is about twice as big as the Explorer itself. However, that's a complaint that I've heard from a lot of the owners of Rolex Explorers, is the fact that the crown just seems a bit small for the size of watch. So maybe this is more of a suitable size. Now, it's about twice the size when it comes to how much it actually pops out from the watch, which isn't too bad because it gives you a nice solid grip on that watch. And again, it is screw down crown, screw down case back, 100 meters of water resistance. Really good to see it on a watch like this. A lot of watches, especially watches that are homages, have 30 meters or 50 meters of water resistance, so they're really not that great. However, this again would have zero issue wearing this every single day in any type of situation, minus deep sea diving, but this is not a dive watch. Now, another complaint that a lot of people have that I touched base on the beginning are these end links right here. It sort of pops out and it gives you an extra few millimeters on the wrist size. However, a lot of people are not going to complain if you have a medium-sized wrist. My wrist is 7.25, and this really doesn't affect the way it wears on my wrist. However, if you have a smaller wrist, you'd expect a 39 millimeter watch to wear better on a smaller size wrist. However, because these pop out so far, it wears like a larger watch, which is a bit of a shame, but I think I can fix that. Let's first test out the Loom and pop it on the wrist. Now I'm going to flip off the lights here. My studio lighting is about 60 watts. So this is not fully charged by any means. If anybody has owned a watch with really good Loom, you know that if you're out in the sun and you walk in, it is twice as bright as anything you can do indoors. So keep that in mind. I'm going to shut off the lights right now. And there is that Loom, ice blue, not even in complete darkness. The only thing I did was shut off 2 of my studio lights. You can still see the light in the background in my garage studio. Now, I love the look of the BGW9 because that ice blue, I think, just looks amazing. It gives it something a little different. A lot of people like the green Loom, but I'm a big fan of the blue Loom. And this thing shines nice and long. Now this is the Explorer, or the Tisell Explorer, on my 7.25 inch wrist. You see that it fits very nicely. And in fact, those end links don't affect the way this watch wears on my wrist. So it's not necessary for me to change it out. However, if you do have a smaller wrist, this is gonna be the biggest downfall and the biggest pitfall of this watch. Everything they did right, minus these end links. Don't ask me why they did these end links. It doesn't make any sense. And the one thing that I love the most is the fact that they offer a glide lock clasp style of clasp for this watch, because that is the one thing that really turns me off on a lot of bracelets, because you can't micro adjust it on the fly. So they did everything right on this watch except those end links. How are we gonna fix it? Okay, now because this is a one-on-one homage of the Rolex Explorer, well, you can find Oyster style bracelets that are aftermarket for that Explorer. If you go on something like Etsy, they have so many different options. These are all marked Rolex. However, you can get them unmarked as well. These are not actually factory bracelets. These are aftermarket replacements. So they're not going to be nearly as good, but they're still an upgrade from what's on the watch. And these are basically an upgrade to the bracelet you already have on. It does have an Oyster style bracelet and it is relatively comfortable, but might as well get something that fits your wrist a little bit better. If you can't find a bracelet, you can always find a strap, be it a leather, silicone, or NATO. Now, minus just really one complaint, and that is the end links. There's really not a whole lot to complain about. I mean, the Glide Lock clasp is not the best Glide Lock clasp in the world, but it does offer you that micro adjustment that a lot of watches just don't offer. And again, why I don't like wearing stainless steel bracelets, because you can't really do on-the-fly adjustments. I just reviewed the Carnival Tritium, and that was my biggest complaint about that because I had a butterfly clasp. So this offers a lot of value, 100 meters of water resistance, sapphire crystal, a proper movement with no ghost date, and a wide variety of other things that just really make it value bang for the buck. So if you like videos and videos like this, hit that subscribe button down below, leave a comment of the content you guys would like to see. On this channel, I have so many videos coming up in the future, so hit that notification bell so you guys can be notified when I drop my next video. Until next time.